broadcast and streaming. Okay, it looks like we might actually be live already. Awesome, awesome. Let's see. Hey, there we are. Awesome. Okay, let me make sure that I'm not broadcasting on multiple channels. There we go. So I'm not blasting you guys. Hey, Laura. Awesome that you're already here. Janet. Oh my gosh, Janet, we just keep crossing purposes. This is the metaphysical chaps, so I'm not doing personal questions here, but please come to my third Saturday. That's where I do personal questions. And if you're on my mailing list, you will get an invitation with the Zoom link so that I can actually see you on the Zoom link. And that allows me to connect very deep so that we can get you better answers. It's a little harder to do here where I can't actually see you. I'm just feeling the energy. So I try to keep them separate, but they are serving different audiences as well. So, sorry about that, but I would love to talk with your sister Mary for you if you can come on that third Saturday. Great to have you here, Rochelle. Errol, hey, welcome, welcome. So Laura, we're going to be talking soon and we will talk about your personal questions there. But tonight is metaphysical. So you guys, anything metaphysical you want to talk about, it's all on the table, just not personal stuff. If you want to talk about things that are going on in the world and how they are connected from a metaphysical perspective rather than a political perspective, we can do that. And because I want to honor all the political readers that are out there. They're doing a fine job and they don't need me stepping on their toes. So Metatron has also asked me to leave that side alone a little bit and really focus on the spiritual side because, we need to stand together, lift one another up so that we can get through this in one piece without being devastated by it. Because I know if you're like my household, my husband, now he's retired, he's got that TV on all the time with news. And, you just got to turn it off because it's too much. We know it's going on. We're sending our love and light. We're supporting them energetically, but it doesn't help them if we get drugged down in that dark energy. So that's what we're trying to focus on. I hope that makes sense. Hey, Harry's mom, T-Barb, Casey Snipes, Susan, Chris. Awesome. Betty Max, Lori. Wow, so glad to see all of you guys. So anything metaphysical you want to talk about, please pop it down there into the chat. Actually, while you're doing that, I want to read you something that I got from Metatron a little while back in regards to dealing with people and trolls. I had written an article on Medium about Roe versus Wade and how devastating it is that women's rights are being trampled on and we are going down this very slippery slope. Of course, that's not something I normally write about, but I just, I felt led to write about it. And I got this really nasty troll jumping in talking about how Metatron is a fallen angel and, that whole line of crap. And, the ego wants to respond to those people and put them in their place and tell them how wrong they are. But that's ego. That doesn't serve anybody at all, least of all Metatron and the mission that we have here to spread love and light. So this is what Metatron said. Don't be distracted by the trolls. They can rant and rage all they like, but that doesn't change the fact that we outnumber them and we will prevail. The wise choice is turn your attention from them and stay on your path. He encourages us to send love and light to these misguided people, wipe the metaphorical dust off of our feet and leave them behind. That's a reference to something Jesus said in the New Testament, in case you're not familiar with that. But it makes a lot of sense if you're hanging out with people and they're just on a whole different wavelength from you, then, metaphorically wipe off the energy and the dirt and then leave them behind. You can bless them, send them love, but just leave, get out of that energy. And then he concluded by saying, if they miss the boat in this lifetime, maybe they'll get it the next time or the one after that. But that's none of our concern. That is their choice and their life journey. Hope that makes sense to you guys. Let me know. Just checking the comments real quick to see. And Chris, you said last month you asked about the blueprint printer and remind me what you asked about the blueprinter, Chris, because I don't recall. There's been a lot happened since then. If you were just wanting to know about them generally, I can give you a general summary about the blueprinters. Let's see. T-Barb says, yeah, a lot of groups are taking the time to gather and send the light, and it's been amazing. It really has. And it's just so uplifting to see that love that's being shared from so many sources. And to know that we're not alone. We have hundreds and thousands of people joining with us, sending this energy. It reminds me of one of the meditations that Metatron shared a while back, and you can find it on my YouTube channel. If you go to the playlists, you'll find there's one that was Metatron putting this energy bubble or dome over the earth to send healing, love, and light to everybody. It was such a beautiful and short, I think it was only like less than 5 minutes. So it was a really cool meditation. And the lovely thing about this is that I'm not usually asking for these things. They'll just come through when we need them, which is another beautiful affirmation that our angels are always there, sending us what we need when we need it. I don't know about you, but that makes me feel really hopeful about the future. And it helps to stay on the positive track when you have a day where things are really gnawing away at you and you're feeling kind of down, just to know they've always got your back, never, never, ever leave you. Hi, Mary, welcome. Errol, the entities in your house said the same thing about Archangel Michael. Yeah, because Archangel Michael, he's that warrior angel, right? He's out there with that sword leading the light workers forward. So absolutely. And lean on any of the angels that you feel connected to. It doesn't have to be just Metatron. That's the one I have the most affinity with because he oversees the Akashic records. So it makes sense. But when I first started doing this work, Michael showed up a lot. Ariel would show up a lot. Gabriel would show, and Uriel and Raphael. For a while, I had, several of the archangels were showing up. And that was because they were the ones I was familiar with from my past religious studies. And they felt comfortable to me. And it's nice to have that level of comfort. But then as I delved deeper and deeper into the records, then those who I connected with expanded. So that's really cool too. So you go with whoever feels comfortable for you. And that's wonderful. Michael is honored to be called upon, as they all are. Rochelle, the trolls have been really active, but you won't let them get you down. That's perfect. Yeah, I know. It was really a great message because every once in a while, it doesn't happen too often, thankfully, but every once in a while, I'll get some nasty troll putting a message on there about how, the demons and all that stuff that we're just not going to go there with. And yeah, my ego wants to really craft some clever response that'll put them in their place. But then I'm reminded, no, you never want to respond from your ego because that just doesn't give you a good result. It'll never end well. And who wants to get into sharing energy with those people? It's like, hey, we're here to share love and light with you. If you want to do that, great. Love to have you join us. But if you're just here to create trouble and dissension, then bye-bye. We're just not going to talk to you. So might as well go elsewhere and, feed your need for attention because you're not getting it from us. Hey, Melinda, glad to see you. Harry's mom, shake the sand from your feet. Yeah. Isn't it funny if you have studied the biblical text or, maybe other religious texts, certain lines will just really resonate with you and show up off and on. And that's one that's just always kind of stuck with me. And it shows up occasionally during readings because it's wise. It reminds us not to get into the muck and mire with those people. You do what you can with your loving heart and your healing energy. And if they don't want it, then don't waste your time. Plenty of people out there who do want it, especially now. Chris, you mentioned a hike talking about something I can't remember. And boy, I don't remember that at all, Chris. Keep telling me little bits and pieces and maybe we'll put it together and figure out what it is. Or if you just want to talk about, the generic concept of who the blueprinters are, if that's what you're looking for, we could do that too. Mary, when you say send love and light, it may be a silly question, but is it something you visualize in your mind and not sure how to do it? Yeah, I'm right there with you, Mary. I didn't used to know what that meant either. So thanks for asking, because I know a lot of people do. So I used to think when people talked about they're doing these prayers for people and, they're doing this list and they're getting in their prayer closet, I used to picture that they're on their knees and, they're literally going through that list and just, putting a lot of time and effort into it. But I've since learned it doesn't require that much. Really, all it requires is energy and intention. So if you, Mary, stand there and say, it's my intention to send love and light to, let's say, the people of Ukraine, it's done as soon as you say it, because the angels are there. They will take your words, your energy, your intention, and carry it out. You can visualize it if that's good for you, because we're all wired differently. So for some people, visualizing will feel good. I used to visualize it more, but now since I've discovered this power of our words, it's like, no, I stand in my power as a sovereign soul, a child of the Creator, with the ability to simply speak it into reality. So I send you, Mary, love and light, and so it is, and it is done. It's that simple. How marvelous is that? So we can send even more of it because it doesn't really take any time at all. It's so simple. It's the energy and intention. So you don't want to just casually toss out the phrase. You do want to feel it. Send it from your heart chakra, and then you'll know that that's the best that you can do. Rochelle, yes, I will get to your question. Absolutely. I've got it. Yeah, you know what? Paste it in for me if you don't mind. That way I don't have to switch screens and go find it. That would be really helpful. I kind of have the basics of what you were talking about, but I think it'll be also good for you to write it again, because there might be something different, a different angle that comes through. But I got what you were talking about because I've experienced it myself, and other people in our meditation group have had similar experiences. And what's going on right now is that when we're having these experiences, they are so much powerful than they ever used to be, because we are in this time of the ascension with our DNA being recalibrated. So the energy and the abilities that we have now far exceed what we used to have. So that's changing what we're feeling in our bodies as well. It's just more intense. So yeah, let me know about that and we'll talk about it. Betty Max, where can you find a good resource to learn more about the different types of starseeds? It's all over the internet, Betty, but I encourage you use your discernment. Check the source and also check your solar plexus and see how it feels. Does it feel like it's true to you? Because there's some good stuff out there and there's a lot that's misguided. So I hope that makes sense. When I do soul introduction readings, that's part of that reading. So I will tell you what your starseed group is. That's your planet of origination. And I'll tell you everything I know about that starseed group. Some I know a lot about, some I know a little about. It just depends on how common they are, how much they've shown up and shared their energy with us. So tons of information out there. But again, with the caveat, some of it's good and some of it's not so good. So if you've got questions about things that you found out, you can feel free to, bring that and we can talk about that, because that's definitely metaphysical. Errol, do you know why many are having the same physical pains at the same time? Yeah, that goes into what I was just talking about with Rochelle, Errol, is that our DNA is being recalibrated as we move into the fourth dimensional beingness. That's part of the ascension process. We and the earth are going from third dimension to fourth dimension. That's quite a big leap, if you can imagine. So rewriting your DNA, recalibrating it, shifting you. And so you are on a spiritual level evolving, but also on a physical level. And sometimes it's almost like a rubber band, if you think about it that way. So you've got, here's your ego, your body, and your soul all together in one. So your soul starts moving forward, accelerating, and your body, your ego body, is being held back here, and higher self is somewhere in the middle getting squeezed. So soul is wanting to soar, ego is putting down the heels and dragging, put on the brakes and saying, hey, whoa, we want to stay safe here. This is scary stuff you're doing. Not sure if we want to go there yet. So there's that action happening, then as ego finally slowly gets on board, that rubber band is getting stretched, right? So ego finally says, okay, picks up the heels, let's go. And boom, they collide as they come back together again. And then they kind of have to reorient, moving forward once more together. Does that make sense? Let me know. So that's how I visualize it anyway. I mean, you can visualize it differently, but that's the basic concept of what's going on. Lori, can Metatron give us specific words to say to help us expand our energy to overpower the dark side of human behavior? I will ask, but first I just want to clarify for you, Lori. We can't make anybody do anything. We can't change them. They get to make their own choices. All we can do is work on ourselves. And that's actually super powerful when you think about it. Because when you shift your own energy, when you're on that path and you're moving towards love and light, the energy that emanates from you, those people around you who are not in alignment will feel it. They will know something's different. At that point, they get to choose, okay, do I like this? Do I want to stay? And if I do stay, I have to shift because I can't stay the same. I don't fit there anymore. So they either have to shift and change or get out of Dodge. So in effect, we are changing them, but they're making the choice, if that makes any sense at all. So working on yourself is the best way to help them. Then, of course, sending out the love and light. When you do that, they get to choose whether they accept it. That's the thing. We can send it all we want. Some of them have, force fields set up. They don't want to accept it. And that's their choice. We can't change that. So we just lean into doing all we can from our perspective, working on ourselves. Again, I'm going to say this over and over because it's so important for us to get it. We can't change other people. We can only change ourselves. And in the doing, we can influence other people. It's that influence that will make a difference. So let me just ask Metatron. So do you have any specific words you'd like to share with Lori and those gathered here about effectively dealing with people who are on the dark side? He says, honey, just love them. Just send so much love their way that it's like, I'm getting a picture. This is really funny. It's like when you soak a piece of bread in milk and how it just slurps up all of it and the bread is kind of limp and filled with milk. So it just keeps sending that love and light to them. And so that they're so filled with love and light, like the bread soaked in the milk, that they either have to get out because they can't take it, or they allow that to change them, opening up their heart chakra, helping them to see that there is a better way, more that can be done. And the really exciting thing, Lori, I've noticed, there are blessings in everything. I have to say that first. What I've noticed since this whole war broke out is that people are starting to shift. I'm feeling here in the States, because that's all I can speak for, those around me, but I'm noticing here in the States that some of those people who were really on the far fringes of both sides are softening up and they're starting to come together. I'm feeling there's more collaboration energy that's entering our world. It's palpable because now we have a common foe to unite against, right? So that, sadly, in the times of great stress like that, sad it takes that, but that's the blessing that comes out of it, is that they come together. And the other thing I'm feeling is that their energy is softening towards those on the opposite ends of the spectrum from them. Suddenly those differences don't matter so much because there's that uniting of purpose, right? And it is sad it takes a war to make that happen, but there are blessings in everything. So we'll take what we can get. Let me know if that makes sense to you, Lori, if that answered your question about words from Metatron. So it's less words, it's more of the energy and intention, the love and the light that you're sending to them. And the other thing is just don't engage with them in the negative stuff. If they're off on that tangent, all that Q stuff that was going on, we don't need to go there, but you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't behoove any of us to get into a conversation with people about those things because their heels are dug in and that's what they're believing. So all we can do is keep doing the best for ourselves and those who connect with us. Allow them to either be influenced by it or get out of Dodge. But some of them are starting to slowly shift now. The scales are being lifted from their eyes. They're starting to see more of the truth. Slowly it is happening. Susan says, Betty Max, there are lots of videos on Gaia, but you need a membership. Yeah, tons of good stuff there. You might, though, be able, Betty, to find some just on YouTube, just searching around. There's so much wonderful material out there. And again, always using your discretion about whether or not it's true. Harry's mom, during a group prayer for Ukraine 2 weeks ago, you were told to bind Putin. You thought you didn't have the right to do that, but since your guides told you you did it, you wrapped him in a rope. Is that okay? Let me just ask, because I'm not sure. So what do you guys have to say about that? And I'm going to ask your guides, Harry's mom. So for Harry's mom's guides, was it okay that she did the binding on Putin? Okay, so they're saying bindings are actually not a good thing to do anymore because it's an outmoded way of dealing with one another. We don't need those things anymore. And in fact, when I do karma readings for people, we look for stuff like bindings and contracts to release because we don't need them anymore in the way that they were used eons ago. You can always send love and light, but if you sent binding to him, chances are he didn't accept it and it just fell away because he's got his own nefarious team taking care of stuff on his side. So the intention, yeah, this is what I'm getting, Harry's mom. The intention is not with love and light because it's trying to change or force somebody else to do something. And that's never going to be a good thing for you. So maybe you misunderstood what your guides were saying. And yeah, let me know if that makes sense, because that's what it feels like to me. And that's what I'm getting from your team. I think there's just an adjustment in perception because for so long, we did use things in many, many lifetimes, like curses and bindings and spells to accomplish things, to get other people to bend to our will. And we no longer want anybody to bend to our will because now we know, since we have awakened to fifth dimensional consciousness, which means we're connected to our soul and the Akashic records. We know that we're more than just this body, this ego. We know that we're a soul. That's what fifth dimensional consciousness means. Since we reached that level, we now understand that we don't need those outmoded ways of dealing with people, that the more effective way is the love and light. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know. Hey, Sharon Sipe, thanks for being here. Lovely to have you. Susan, Diane's tarot, oh, sorry, stumbling. Diane's tarot has a course that requires a membership and the Starseed class is good. Yeah, I've heard really good things about it. So if you're looking to sign up for classes. Chris, the generic would work as you know nothing. I had said blueprinter and you wondered what it meant. Okay, gotcha. So you wish you could remember the context. So blueprinters. I'll give you the short version and you can let me know if you have more questions. So there is this group called the Blueprinters Collective. I see them as kind of like the Borg from Star Trek, if you ever saw that, because they work with kind of a hive consciousness, not in a negative way, the way the Borg were, though. There's a difference. So the Blueprinters as this collective have within their collective categories. There are 4 or 5 different categories within the main umbrella of Blueprinters. As a collective, the Blueprinters came to Earth early on before humanity had evolved to the point where they were beyond primitive and they started developing and having consciousness. So they came here with the purpose of developing the consciousness for humanity. The interesting thing about it is they didn't know that by doing that, they were going to bring the emotional body forward. It hadn't been there before. So kind of accidentally, they brought the emotions to us along with the higher consciousness. And now they're having to figure out what to do about that because it kind of, their creation got a little out ahead of them. But the Blueprinters come to Earth periodically whenever we're in a time where we are ready to evolve to the next level. So they will come, they will do an intense amount of work evolving the consciousness of the planet. and then they'll back off for a while, and then they'll come back in another cycle. Now, there are a lot of blueprinters here right now. I run into quite a few of them because we are in that cycle of evolution. So there are some of them who come and they will deliberately incarnate into families where there's a lot of victimization because they want to understand that and work from the inside out, helping with that. Part of them are really struggling with that because it's deep. It's hard to do that because you don't have all those memories once you get here in a body. So they're working at that, kind of a liability, like we all are once we get here, because our memories are gone. Thankfully, that is changing, and we will start incarnating with our memories intact. But right now, we have to struggle through that part of it just to get to the place where we figure out what our purpose is and start doing it. But their overall purpose is that expansion of humanity. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I want to tell you about them? That's pretty much the overall. I mean, rather, without getting into the nitty gritty, which really isn't all that important unless you happen to be a blueprinter, and then you would want to know more about it. But they're really a cool group. We don't know where they came from because they came from very far away, not from our galaxy, somewhere outside, and they have different sensibilities. So one of their struggles has been integrating into the society and kind of dealing with things that are foreign to them. So that's another challenge they have, which is not unlike some of the other soul groups. If you can imagine people who come from other planets and dimensions that have far different ways of being and doing things, once they come here to Earth and they're trying to fit into that construct, it can feel a little bit cloying or, even choking them. They've got to work through all of that to be here and do what they came to do. But there are lots of different starseed groups here right now because the need is so great. So yeah, you're going to find a lot of them out there. You can Google it, see what you can find. I don't know how much is out there about the blueprinters. And then always, of course, use your discretion and discernment about what you believe is true. Oops, it just jumped. Hang on. So Mary said, thanks for the explanation. So I'm glad that worked out. Betty says, thank you. Casey Snipes, you've been undergoing a spiritual awakening since late January. Diet changes, casting off things that don't serve, focusing on healing. And is there a large number of people experiencing that? Yeah, far more than you can imagine. And they're feeling it all different places and levels as well. So depending on where you already are on your spiritual ascension, and there's actually a measurement that we can do of vibrational frequency. So depending on where you're at on that vibrational frequency scale, you're going to feel it more intensely or less intensely. And it's perfect for wherever you are, so don't worry about it. But yeah, lots of people are going through it. I did a video a while back about ascension symptoms because so many people were talking about them. They can show up as physical symptoms like feeling like the flu, feeling fatigue, a lot of muscle cramping, Charlie horses can happen, and other odd aches and pains that are things that you don't normally have. They just show up. So sometimes those are ascension symptoms. Not always. And of course, we have to use our discernment with that as well to first rule out that it really isn't a physical thing that's going on. But if it's part of your ascension symptoms, it'll show up, it'll give you kind of a blast to slow you down for a little bit as your soul and your body catch up with each other, right? You're feeling that stretching that's going on in that time when you're out of sync with one another. And then when you snap back, it starts getting better. So you will go through that probably many times throughout this process because you don't go all at once. That would be too harsh and too much. But you go in little stages. And then along the way, your angels are calibrating your DNA. So there's all of this stuff going on that's really heady stuff. And if you haven't felt it yet, but you are on this spiritual awakening journey, you probably will at some point. Whatever you're feeling is perfect, though. Don't worry about it. Just go with the flow and ask your angels to help you get through it faster. Lean on them more. In fact, that's a great time to call upon them and say, hey, help me out with this because I'm really struggling here. And they will. They're delighted to do that. So Casey, you answered your question. Great. Awesome. Errol says the soul is the runaway kite. Yeah, in that instance, it does feel that way, doesn't it? Soul just wants to soar and have a really great time. Julie, hey, glad you made it. Susan, you think that lots of angels are working with all of us? Yeah. And you know the really cool thing about that, you probably know this, Susan, we can call for more angels. You know, we have our inner circle that's usually 5 or 6 of guides that are with us. Guides and angels, they're kind of interchangeable in that respect. And then we have the outer circle, and we have that legion that works with us in the records. But if you're working on some kind of a special project and you're feeling like you need a little extra help, you can call in a special team to help you with that project. It can be one, it can be multiples. In fact, in our meditation group that goes with the book, The Path to Hearing Your Angels and Guides, we, for each other, call in frequently an extra squad or team or whatever of angels for a specific task to help one of the members of the group. And we all have the power to do that. It's just so wonderful. And there's something about doing that for other people that lifts you up, gives you more faith, trust, and confidence in your angels and the entire grand plan that we're all a part of. Because if you can do that for them, they can do that for you. You can do it for yourself. You've got that much power. What is there to be afraid of, right? We're all here on the path that we meant to be on right now. And we will do that until our soul is ready to depart the body. When it is ready to depart, it won't matter whether, we've accomplished everything or not. That's the point. We will leave. It'll be done until the next lifetime. So there's no point in getting all upset and worrying about these things that are going on, because you're on your path. God's in this heaven and all is right with the world, right? So we can let go of that worry, because that worry, that fear, that doubt feeds the dark ones, and we don't want to do that. So as much as possible, lean on that faith and trust. When you start to feel a little wobbly, call on more angels to lift you up, help you get past it, to stay on that positive track. Know that you know that you know that you know that you are perfectly fine. You're on your path, and your angels are helping to keep you there. Oh, Rochelle, it's too long to paste. You can paste it in snippets, and that way I can get it. But here's what I remember that you said, and you tell me if I'm missing anything. So you talked about, similar to what somebody else just asked about, this expansion that you're feeling, and like this big shift that you felt in your heart chakra that was more massive than anything that you had felt before. And that is exactly what a lot of people are feeling right now. Again, depending on where they're at on the frequency scale. So I have felt that, and I know other people have felt that. It was just, I think for me, it's happened during meditation. It didn't just happen like out in the middle of nowhere. So in a meditation, all of a sudden I would feel this huge shift and all of this energy like rumbling around and then projecting out. And it felt like it lifted me up off the ground, so I'm levitating in this love and this light as the DNA is being recalibrated. I think that's a lot of what we're feeling when it's that intense. So let me know if that makes sense, Rochelle, and if that answered your question, or if there's another aspect of it that I need to tackle. This one might be, Rochelle, if we can't tackle it all here, come on the 3rd Saturday if you can, so that I can see you and we can really dig into that one. Laura, you're welcome. Errol wants to know, do they have, oops, you jumped, long blonde hair and red suits? You mean the blueprinters? I don't know. I'll ask. Do blueprinters have blonde hair and red suits? No, I'm not getting that. And when they come here, they come in human form anyway. They embody in the 3rd dimensional human body. So they look just like the rest of us. You wouldn't be able to know that they were unless you were able to access their records, or if you knew enough about it to read the characteristics, because that's the cool thing, you guys. If you know about these different starseed groups, if you know that information intimately enough, you can just be hanging out with somebody and you'll notice characteristics about them, and it'll be pretty obvious. what group they're from, because there's some specific characteristics that will pop out at you. It's a little harder to do that than some of the other aspects of the soul, but there are some clues that will, give it away a lot of the time. Susan, you're a blueprinter. Yeah. Rochelle, you're a blueprinter. I had forgotten that. That's really cool. So Susan, meet Rochelle from the same star family. How cool is that? Harry's mom, it makes sense about the binding. You thought the same, but you figured you would do it when they showed you. Yeah. Yeah. And send love and light. Yeah. If you listen to, I'm forgetting her name all of a sudden. Linda, the Cherokee psychic. If you listen to her, she has been really emphasizing recently, don't wish them harm. Because I think her guides gave her kind of a nudge and said, stop doing that. Don't wish harm to them. You want to always just send love and light, or don't engage at all. If you can't send good stuff, then don't engage at all. It's like we were taught as children, right? If you can't say something good, don't say anything. In this case, you're not doing it for their benefit. You're doing it for your benefit, because that negative stuff can boomerang back on you. You don't want that. And in fact, here's something else that just popped up, Harry's mom. When you put a binding on somebody, that actually creates an energy cord between you that stays there until it's cleared. So I would encourage you, go clear it. You don't want to be connected to that dark force at all. So that's a really powerful lesson. Thank you for bringing that up, because it'll help other people who maybe are confused or don't understand how that works. That's really awesome. Thank you. Susan, you don't identify as much as later incarnations from Sirius. Cool. Yeah. Chris says, thank you. And okay, so you guys got the blueprinter thing worked out between you. And Susan, you know that because we did a reading. Yeah. And the same with Rochelle. We did a reading a while back. And Susan says it was awesome, the original incarnation. Yeah. It was so cool. I loved doing that with you, Susan. And Susan is asking, has anybody seen the angels over Ukraine in the clouds? I haven't. I wonder if people here have. I'm sure that they're there. But, as I said earlier, I've been trying not to watch it because it's too much intense energy. And I'm really trying to stay focused on the light and helping lift us up. But yeah, you could bet those angels are there right beside those people as they're leaving, or, in the shelters or whatever it is that they're doing. Rochelle, your body started to melt and you turned purple. You weren't meditating, you were looking in the mirror. Okay, so you got a spontaneous visualization. Let's just ask, what is the body melting in the purple? What's that about? What can you tell Rochelle about body melting in purple? Oh, yeah, because the DNA being restructured. So it's not literally melting, of course, but metaphorically melting it down and restructuring it. And purple, of course, because that's your crown chakra, that is connecting you with divine. So it's amping up that connection. It's like supercharging it, if that makes sense, like rocket ships launching, because you're ready to move to that next level, to step more fully into the purpose that you came here for. So it's really quite beautiful. It's wonderful. KC, is there a way to remember soul's previous lives? Is it worthwhile to try to learn these things, or does it not serve us in this lifetime? So I'll give you my perspective on that, KC. Other people may differ. And for all of this, you should know, I'm sharing with you what I know to be true right now. Could change, or it probably is different from what somebody else will tell you. And that's fine. So you pick whatever feels right to you. But what I know is that the way I was taught, we go in and we look for past lives only to the extent that they are impacting in a negative fashion on your present life. That's what we care about. So we look for blocks and restrictions that are on your soul. We look for the lifetimes and the stories attached to those lifetimes that are connected to that, because they'll be connected from there all the way to the present. So if they're impacting you in the present, you're ready to clear them, then we will get that story and we'll release that so that it's no longer impacting you. And things like repeating patterns will get cleared up, right? Like if you've been a victim over and over and you're ready to get rid of that, that would be one good example. So we cleared in that instance. As far as just going in for curiosity's sakes to learn about past lives, no, because how would that help you in the present? That's just being curious and shopping around. And honestly, we've got enough work to do without bringing in more stuff and more confusion. Plus, the ego gets involved in that stuff. So we just don't want to open that door. Now, saying that, I have spontaneously had past life memories that weren't connected with an intention to do a reading, but my guides brought it forward at that time because it was a puzzle piece that I needed for greater understanding. So if you read my first book, Akasha Unleashed, the Missing Manual to You, I talked about how I got this spontaneous memory of my most recent past life where I was murdered by my husband. So I saw that, I experienced the death, but they took me out of the body before it actually happened, so I didn't feel any pain. But I saw the whole thing, I felt the fear, it was very visceral, it was reliving it. The reason they showed that to me is because in this present life, I married that same man. My first husband was the guy who killed me last time around. So they were showing me that connection of the karma, that I needed to have that experience, which is why we were drawn together, so that I could process that victim energy and get out of it, which took me decades to do, but I finally have done that. So they'll show things like that. Occasionally, when I meet somebody or when I'm very deeply connected to somebody, I'll get a flash and I'll see a past life connection and how we were connected. Like my best friend in this lifetime, they have shown me 3 other lifetimes that we were connected. We were married in a couple of them. And, you know, they showed me the death scene because that's the most impactful thing. And is it the most impactful thing? Well, for purposes of that story, it was the most impactful thing. So they showed me just that snippet. So for me, when it's happened, it's not this whole lifelong thing. It's a little snippet in time just to give you enough details to get that understanding. So in that instance, it was explaining to me that deep connection. And so far, nothing further has come from that. So they've just been teaching me how these things work in these little snippets that come. So deja vu, Metatron has said deja vu is a past life memory. So when you start having those flashes of deja vu, write it down, because later you might connect the dots and figure out what that was all about. But we are having those flashes when we are ready for them, when we need them. And so your angels and guides will help you with that. So that's a very long-winded answer. I hope it makes sense. Let me know. T-Barb is responding to Rochelle. You were feeling a force coming out of your chest and it has now normalized, but you were wondering about it. Yeah, so probably the same thing, T-Barb. Hey, Linda, thanks for joining us. Julie, that's where you go with the hearers around the earth and it blows your mind. That's cool. Hey, warrior girl, welcome. So glad you could make it. Harry's mom, you saw the huge angel on YouTube that is Archangel Michael in Kiev. Yeah, the statue, that was phenomenal, wasn't it? It's like, whoa, how powerful is that? And that's been there for how long? And we were never aware of it. So there's something really deep and powerful connected to that. That was like a massive neon light flashing to the world, wasn't it? About the protection that's on those people in that country, that they are, in some ways, they're like the sacrificial lamb bringing us forward. Because remember, I was saying earlier how it's shifting the people in the US, probably other places as well, to come together to put aside the differences in that common purpose. So I would guess probably a lot of the people in Ukraine right now had some kind of a soul contract. Just as light workers, we agreed to be here now for this time to bring forward the prophecy. They agreed to be there, to be part of this revolution that's going to set things in motion, moving a whole lot faster than they have been. You're welcome, Rochelle. Melinda says, thank you for sharing. Love and light. You had a long day. You're going to jump off. Yeah. Thanks for being here, Melinda. I really appreciate it. And sweet dreams. Errol wants to know, what is a dark worker? I don't deal with them. I try to stay away from them. But my understanding is it's somebody who's choosing the dark path. We all have free choice. So they can make choices that are against their own soul going for the darkness, or they can choose the light, right? Some of them have gone so far off the path that it's probably not going to happen in a single lifetime that they'll get back on the light path, but whenever they're ready, they can. There is one soul group called the Draconians. They are very dark, but they also do have the free choice to go back to the light if they want to. So the Draconians, a lot of them are very involved in the political machinations, keeping us controlled, keeping us away from the light, trying to suppress the people. So throughout history, when people have been enslaved, tortured, what comes to mind is the serfdom from the Middle Ages. Those were the dark people who were suppressing others, taking advantage, using them. Slavery, the dark people were holding those other people down, controlling them. So sad to say, but a lot of the major religions had dark workers who were controlling the people. They were telling them tales because honestly and truly, you guys, creator, God, universe, source, whatever you call that higher power, is all love and light. There's no hellfire and brimstone there. There's no judgment. There's my beautiful child. I love you to the moon and back. Know that about yourself. Accept that about yourself. Get out there and do what feeds your soul. Have a wonderful life. That's what Creator says to every single one of us. That's our birthright if we choose it. But there are some who don't, for whatever reason. They enjoy victimizing other people. They're the dark forces. So they're out there, and they're the ones that we are trying to overcome as we move forward into the prophecy. When we do get to that place where we're ready to move into the next dimension, the fourth dimension, and Earthtopia, those dark workers will either go back underground or they'll leave because they won't be able to hang around in the presence of all that love and light. A lot of them will retreat to the fringes and they'll do their dastardly things until they gain enough power to come back again. That's another huge cycle that's happened throughout history. But we will have some significant period of time where we will have that Earthtopia. Susan, you think getting some past life skills from other lifetimes is interesting too? Yeah. And theoretically, we have access to all that we have learned in all those other lifetimes. Where I've seen it, these child prodigies who show up, usually it's singers I'm seeing, but some instrumentalists. These little kids come in and they have these very mature voices or skills far beyond their years, art too, I suppose. Those are the ones who are being born more awake, reconnecting with those abilities they had in past lives. So you can bet some of those kids who are coming in and just astonishing us with the maturity of their voice and their ability, their emotional connection to the work that they do that's far beyond their age. That's because they're connected to that past life. They're bringing that forward. So all of us will be able to do that at some point in time. We may in this lifetime start getting little pieces of it. Maybe you've got some already, Susan. I've reconnected with the healer side because I've had some of those past memories come forward about lifetimes where I was like the village healer. And in this lifetime, I didn't know that at the time, but that's where my fascination with homeopathics came from, with using natural remedies to help people, to empower them. So I put in a lot of study to reconnect with that. And that's where the passion came from. So that kind of solved that mystery for me. And you will probably find there's something that you're really drawn to. And most likely it's from a past life. It's some thread that you're picking up that you're ready to carry forward in this lifetime. Then there will be more and more of that as we awaken and start remembering more of who we were and are. Harry's mom, why do we get information in bits and pieces and not the whole story? Is there a purpose in having to put it together? Yeah, because if you got it all at once, it would be overwhelming. You wouldn't know what to do with it. So each little bits and piece that you get, it needs to be integrated into your understanding. You've got to shift into that new frequency that goes along with that new understanding. So it's just like when I do the past life readings. If we were to go in and just give you a dump of a whole bunch of past lives and the stories, it would be so overwhelming. It would, like, metaphorically make your head explode. You wouldn't be able to integrate it and use it in a practical fashion. That's why it's not about curiosity, just going and getting your whole history of your soul, because that's not helpful in your present day life. So they are very purposeful in what they share. They give you exactly what you need for where you're at on your path right now, and only that much. When you're ready for the next piece, they'll give you that piece. And then you are collecting all these pieces, putting them together, slowly building this bigger and bigger picture of who you are, and a deeper understanding of why you're here and what feeds your soul and what you want to do next. Does that make sense? Let me know. Rochelle, you've been remembering a lot of lives almost daily. You feel like you're in hundreds of places at once and you're trying to stay grounded. Yeah, it's that feeling when you start doing the ascension where it's like you're levitating right off the ground. So right now, while that's going on for you, do more of your grounding exercises, because you don't want to float off the planet. You've got stuff to do here. But yeah, it's way more intense than it was before. You'll probably get a break where it'll settle down for a while, and then you'll have another surge where it'll pick up again, because that's what we're seeing for everybody. We're going in these cycles where we have, an intense amount of up leveling, then we get a break, and then we go again. There's one lady in our meditation group who's really going supersonic acceleration, and oh my gosh, it's almost like she is that rocket ship lifting off and the pieces are breaking off. It's really stressful. Her guides are taking her through that acceleration for a reason. It's not all clear yet why, but there is a reason. It wouldn't be happening that way otherwise, because your guides and angels will never do anything that would be harmful for you. It's always lifting you up and assisting you. So there is a reason. And thank goodness the rest of us aren't going that fast, because it's really intense with everything else you've got going on that you've got to process. You've got to live your daily life, right? Plus your ascension. So yeah, they're trying to give it to us in the bits and pieces that we're ready for, so that we don't get overwhelmed, get off path, because that would do none of us any good. And I suspect that if you were to get too much of a dump all at once, it would be physically debilitating, but it would probably also be mentally debilitating. I can see where, it might drive you a little mad if you got too much all at once. So that's why it's always about your well-being, Harry's mom. Oh, and Rochelle, sorry, I was talking to Rochelle. I'm getting confused now. Warrior girl, organized religion and organized crime are the same. Yeah, you might say that. There are a lot of similarities. It's all about control and power, isn't it? And I know they overlap in places as well. Harry's mom, there's a YouTube video about the huge cloud formation of Archangel Michael over Kiev and the statue. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that there was both. That is really cool. Isn't that magical? That's like reading things from miraculous happenings in the Old Testament. We're just not used to those kind of things happening out in front of everybody. But doesn't that say something about where we're at right now? The intensity, and that the powers do need to be amped up for the people who are needing that extra reassurance. It's so important. Warrior Girl says, Medium Kim shared on her community tab. Okay, cool. So you can check her community tab for that. Starfish is saying that you did a healing meditation of Gaia in a practice group. Cool. Yeah, it's like we can't do too much of that stuff right now. Gaia needs our help. And I think even more, she appreciates it, because she has nourished us and supported us through all of our lifetimes on this planet. So it's little she's asking of us to give back to support her. So anything that you feel led to do, whatever feels good to you in that respect, absolutely lean into that, because it really, really helps. So Harry's mom says, Warrior Girl, the picture that Kim shared came from the video. Oh, so it's all connected. All right, so you guys were sharing all that. That's awesome. Thank you for doing that. It's so important because we could easily miss it. I didn't see that, and I'm online all the time. So yeah, that's super powerful. And especially for the people who are not as far along on their journey, it's really important for them because they need that extra boost of confidence that they're not making this stuff up. It really is happening. These miracles are still happening today, right in front of their eyes. They need that evidence. So you guys are going to share it. Cool. All right. Rochelle, it's very intense. Yeah, you're so welcome. Glad to help with that. Starfish, you worked on the grid. Oh, cool. Yeah. That's really helping Gaia. I know there are quite a number of people who are working on the grid in various places and balancing ley lines and whatever else it is that they're doing. I'm not into all that, so I don't understand it all, but I have a friend who's been doing that, and I know some other people. So yeah, we're all doing our part, which is so wonderful because it's that collective energy, all the pieces coming together to form the whole that's going to make a massive impact. So I think I'm at the bottom, you guys. Got any more questions you want to pop in? We still have some more time. I'm going to hit the thumbs up. If you're here and you haven't hit the thumbs up, if you would do that, I'd really appreciate it. Helps a lot to help other people see the messages. So I think this week, to give you a sneak preview, I've got a video that I'm going to be making. A question was asked about what does Metatron have to say with regard to the dark energy and all the conspiracy theory stories and that kind of stuff. What I had asked before, because I was specifically asking about this, somebody who used to be an angel lady, I'm sure some of you know who I mean, who now talks about Metatron as a demon. And I was personally really offended by that on behalf of Metatron, but that's not my business, I was told. So I backed off and I didn't venture in. But now this question came. So when I asked, suddenly I got some more information about that. I'm going to have to go back and get some more details before I can actually put it together into a cogent message to share with you, but super exciting. I'm really looking forward to getting that one out there for you. So for whatever reason, Metatron was ready to talk about it now. I guess it's in a different context. Yeah, that's the answer. Different context. Because it's not about blame, it's not about judging. It's about let's just move forward in love and light again, not worrying about those others who are on that dark path. But it needed to be addressed because there are a lot of followers who got lost along the way. They were going one direction and it was all uplifting, and all of a sudden they got yanked out of that and told that everything they believed up until now was wrong, and they needed to question it. And what Metatron shared just briefly, the evidence is in the demeanor of this person. You look at them and you see the love and light that used to be there, the passion. It's not there. It's I don't even know how to describe it. It's almost like an empty husk. And what's replaced that love and light is a lot of condemnation, a lot of hate, a lot of judgment, a lot of darkness. And I don't know about you, but if I have a path that's love and light, fun, uplifting, all of us working together for this grand passion that feels so marvelous versus, okay, got to walk a straight and narrow path and be scared all the time that I'm going to do something wrong and suffer hellfire and brimstone. I know which path I'm going to choose. No brainer. But, for those who want that other path, it's there for them. And as Metatron said, if they don't get it this lifetime, they'll get it another lifetime. So that'll be coming up. And the other thing about that, just one last little thing, the big clue you can get if you watch that person's videos, comments are turned off. Why? What are you afraid of? If you really believe what you're saying now, what are you afraid of? Why can't people comment? So I think that's very telling. But again, this is not about telling anybody what to believe. It's about let's put it out there and they get to choose. What path do they want to walk? And Metatron always says, go for what feels best. So if we allow that solar plexus guidance that we have built in. It's our compass. If we feel our way through life, always choosing what feels best, we will make the most empowered choices that will lead us further along an aligned path with our soul rather than falling off. So if we remember that, we're golden. Oh, thanks, Casey. Smash the like button. Yeah, just don't smash it though. Just tap it for me, will you? I'd like a little less violence in the world. Harry's mom, a sign above the capital of Ukraine today, Archangel Michael, or the white horse of the apocalypse. Oh, that's the name of the video. Gotcha. Okay, yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Harry's mom. We'll have to look. Rochelle, would you ask Metatron to tell us how impactful it is when we send love and peace to the world so everybody knows? Great question. Let's ask. So, Metatron, can you give us some words that describe the impact that our intention, our words, our love and light have when we send them out? Give me just a moment. I'm waiting for it to come together. Oh, it's like sending all these warm hugs and kisses. I mean, you're not literally doing it, but that's how it feels to the people. If you had a grandmother or a grandfather that you just adored, it's like when you get together with them and they embrace you in their arms and you just feel like this is perfect. All is right with the world. You don't need anything else. You have everything you need right there. You're loved, you're protected, you're cherished. That's what we're sending out to the world. So for all those lost souls who don't feel that, who need to feel that, for the ones who maybe knew it or know it, but they're wavering because they're just overwhelmed with all the negativity, they feel that. It surrounds them in those love bubbles. We can send that out to them. Now they can choose to ignore it, to push it away, or they can choose to be enveloped by it, lifted up, strengthened, encouraged. So, anything else you want to say about that? Yeah, just keep doing it. You can't do it too much. Whenever you think about it, when it crosses your mind, just take a moment and just speak it out. And you don't have to speak it out loud verbally. You can speak it in your head. So if you're around a bunch of people and you don't want to look like you're talking to yourself, you can speak it silently. It's just as powerful because remember, energy and intention. It's always about that. So maybe take a couple of deep breaths, feel your heart chakra expanding, and then send that blessing out to the world. It will be met, will be felt, will be appreciated. And it will help way more than you can even imagine. Magnolia Spiritual House. Oh, great question. You were thinking the same. Okay. Callista, hey, welcome. Glad you could join us. You're rowing, but you're listening. Cool. Do you mean you're literally rowing on a boat or on a machine? Yeah, warrior girl, you nailed it. Yeah. I just don't want to use the name and give it power. I think the people who need to know what I'm talking about will know. They'll make that connection. And it took me a long time to be able to speak about this in a public way because I don't want to be in that position of my ego getting in the way or being in judgment. It's just about let's connect the dots for people so they can make their own informed choice. And there was just so many lost souls out there who didn't know what to do. They felt abandoned. So finally, Metatron was ready to speak about it. And I really look forward to putting all that together in the greater message because I think it will be comforting and it will help a lot. Linda, your guides want you to exercise all of a sudden because exercise videos popping up on YouTube. That's funny. Well, you know, they want you to be healthy, hale and hearty so that you can step up and serve that higher purpose as a light worker. So yeah, for all of us right now, it behooves us to do whatever we can to take care of these vessels. Because as Metatron has said, we get the one vessel. We've got to take care of it so it lasts us the entire journey. We want to get there to the end as healthy as we can so that we can be impactful. Now, that being said, they just popped in a picture of Stephen Hawking, who was just this amazing example of somebody who was channeling. Because think about this, all he could do when he was so disabled by ALS was to use his connection to divine. He was using that brain and his soul, connecting, downloading all that information that he shared. So when I focus on his energy, what I feel is joy at being able to do this. It was excitement. Just, it tickled him to know, and he felt so powerful. He felt privileged to be able to bring that energy and share it with the world. And that compensated for not being able to use his body. And then his needs were met by caretakers so that he could continue doing his great work. How else did this person last all these years, far beyond the limits of what anybody has ever done with that horrible disease? It's because the energy he was channeling through him kept him going. His is a phenomenal story and really inspirational when you think about what we can do from a soul perspective, regardless of any physical limitations. So, of course, first, take care of your body, keep it as healthy as you can. But if you do have physical limitations, know that is not going to stop you from doing your soul work. It's still there for you. You can still lean into it. Maybe you got to lean on your angels even more and get creative about how you do it, but it's there for you. You can be every bit as impactful, not waste a minute of time, energy, or intention. It can all get put out there for the world. Just it's so beautiful how it all works together. Callista says, join me and make it easier. Yeah. We're waiting for the weather to get better so we can get out there and do some more hiking. We were able to get out yesterday, and then today it's pouring, so more coming. But yeah, it's as the weather gets better, more hiking for us, because getting out there and breathing that fresh air, keeping our bodies healthy, flexible is so important. So yeah, all of that for us. Starfish, you're feeling the need to start walking. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, if you can't do anything else, walking is a great way to get out there, get that flexibility, and keep your cardio up. Warrior Girl says, me too. Yeah. Magnolia's spiritual house. After your first meditation with Metatron, you had a lot of dreams and Egyptian symbols. Was that a clue about a past life? Probably, because they're not random. These things that come to us are very purposeful. One time in one of my meditations, I was shown this underground cavity somewhere in the vicinity of the Grand Canyon. And there are Egyptian artifacts there. Now think about that. How did Egyptian artifacts get into this underground space in the Grand Canyon area? And then they showed me another underground space in the pyramids in Egypt that got blocked off. So there is a portal, an energetic portal that they can leave through, and they can come back there, but it's not open to go further that direction. So somehow they were able to use that, having a portal there and a portal in the Grand Canyon underground space to travel. And of course, that means there's more, right? So there's so much we haven't even discovered yet, so much power. There was another time where they showed me about Stonehenge, and I have to get that story out and get that for you guys, because they showed me how it was once used as like this power system. It had a purpose, and it was used by the culture that was there at the time. The rocks were alive and they were communicating. They were lit up with all these colors, like almost like chakras, and they were, blinking and shining. And then through the centuries, that decayed, the connection was lost, and now there's just a low hum. That's all that's left. But we can connect with those past life understandings and stories through the Akashic records. All of that's available for us. So I encourage you, if you feel at all led, connect with your records. Do the opening prayer to be sure you're really connected. Make sure that's your intention. And then ask for information. You'll get bits and pieces that are important for you to help you move forward. So what I normally do, unless there's something really specific I need to know, maybe for somebody else, usually it's just, hey, I'm here. What do you want to share with me? And then these amazing stories come through. Things that are just, they seem so outlandish. It's like they can't be true. And yet they are. And then they'll connect them to present day to reinforce that, yeah, this really is true. And the other really cool thing about this, that I didn't realize this until like a year ago, because I was feeling like, wow, when I'm there, it feels so real. And yet it's in my head, right? I'm not physically traveling there. It's a spiritual energy kind of a experience, right? But what they helped me to understand is that when you do that, your soul is projecting to that space. So it's absolutely as real as what you're experiencing here in this third dimensional life. How about that for a mind bender? So it's, you can go and you can have those experiences, you can retain the information and bring it back to help you in this third dimensional life and to help others. So it's a treasure trove of information just waiting for us. So go out there, be open-minded, be curious, ask them what they want to share with you. Doesn't mean you can't ask specific questions, but if you're open to whatever they want to share with you in that moment, you might just be gobsmacked at what they share with you. It's pretty phenomenal. Linda, you've been walking when you can. The weather is too cold. Yeah, I can totally relate with that, but it's changing and it looks like we might get an early spring. So yeah, more of that for all of us. Warrior Girl says, Starfish, it's great for releasing negativity while you're recharging